You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Spooky Adam.
And I'm Late Zach. Adam!
Happy Halloween, Zach.
We forgot! It's
Well, we didn't forget.
As we're recording this, it's the day after Halloween.
That is true, and we are not only going to do one spooky episode, but as promised last week, we have two.
Oh, we already did the bit. Okay, yeah, we just want to now. They were already on the list, and we were excited to talk about some things. So we said, this is our show.
Right, normal podcasts would be like in the weeks leading up to, spooky October, but we're like, nah, spooky Thanksgiving.
Come on, give us a break. Give us a break, come on. It's October, November,
Listen,
December.
We did drop a 2-hour super special last week, so I'm still feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah.
So we're going to celebrate some Halloween with some Halloween stories that we picked out. I mean, trick or treat, everybody.
We did. And hey, if you would like to give us a treat, us specifically, you can go down the discount candy aisle at your local Walmart or Sam Goody or wherever you get your candy. I don't even know what Sam Goody used to sell when malls existed.
I think music, Zach. They sold these plastic things called CDs.
That doesn't sound right. Are those things movies came on back in the old days?
Even before that, you just amazing pieces of technology.
Like vinyl?
Sort of smaller. We'll get there.
Yeah, I don't know why people pay $40 for a Taylor Swift album they don't know how to listen to, but
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay. Fun fact, did you know that once when I was in high school, I wrote a report saying that the future of the music business should be vinyl?
You were right. Wow.
I was absolutely right. This is 2008. I was like, boom. I said that vinyls coming with, at least temporarily, this was in a pre-Spotify streaming era.
Okay.
Coming with digital download codes.
Yeah.
Would be the future. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I was right, except for we solved that other thing. I wasn't thinking big enough.
You got half of it, Congratulations. All right.
That's
so
unimportant. So if you want to fund these great ideas that I had back when I was 17, you can go over to patreon.com/Battle of the Atom, reach deep down into your hearts and pocketbooks, and toss a couple of coins into our coffers.
Yeah. I've got
it's like $5.
My pillow sack open. You could just throw the Snickers right in there.
My son did bring an actual pillow sack to trick.
Nice. Good haul. Did you get a nice table's worth of candy?
A handful of full bar houses.
Wow.
And one of the full bar houses was giving out boxes of Nerds gummy clusters, the best candy that's ever been invented, that just came out in the last few years. And I'm so upset that I, as an adult, have to enjoy this.
Is that like a Nerds rope, but it's cut into pieces?
Yes. Think of a Nerds rope. A Nerds rope's too big, right?
Right.
So you take a small amount of Nerds rope.
Ooh.
And then you cover it in Nerds. Just a huge amount of Nerds.
That sounds pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's upsettingly good what the Willy Wonka Candy Corporation has come up with this time.
Man, they just keep coming out.
I don't think they're using the Wonka
things.
branding anymore. I don't know what they are. They Nerds was a Wonka candy when I was growing up.
Nerds are universal, I feel, I don't even know who makes them. I feel like nerds make nerds, but it doesn't really matter to me. That sounds like a fun, tasty treat.
I'm going to guess Nestle. I'm not going to fact check this, guys.
No.
A lot of times I'm furiously Googling things that I say. I'm not right now.
I mean, it's got to be one of our candy overlords,
All that dark candy money that is flowing into our world. Hey, everyone. Speaking of dark, Let's talk about some scary comics. Adam, you picked out this first comic. Oh, wait, folks, if you support the show, then if you do it at the $5 a month level, which is enough for Zach to buy a bag of Nerds Gummy Clusters at the airport at inflated prices, let's be clear, but it's what it is. Then, you know what? We'll do a whole episode based around your idea, and we probably won't talk about the latest in candy innovation.
Yeah, but this is a treat-based podcast scenario. You know, you give us a treat, we give you a treat. And so...
Also, we'll do a trick. We will do a trick because we will take your idea and corrupt it.
Ah, that is true. We usually do. Yeah, that's a good point. No corruption here, except in our stories.
What about the corruption from the Darkhold?
There's a little bit of that this week, right? This first story we're going to talk about is from X-Men Unlimited Volume 2, number 1. There are 2 stories in this. We're going to focus first on the one that's Halloween-ish, which is The Most Wonderful Time of Year, written by J.T. Kroll and penciled and inked by Tom Mandrake. Zach, how familiar were you with the fan favorite character who had only appeared in this one story, Andy Hartnell, aka Cryptid?
Literally, and I've read this comic before. Have no recollection of this child. And no one has any recollection of this child. He appeared once, and the Marvel Wiki, and what I have to say is what seems like a stretch that's not based in canon, says he was one of the many depowered due to M-Day, probably true, and most likely killed when the bus exploded. End of note. I'm gonna be real. I don't fully know if this child was on the bus that got blown up.
I hope he's not. Now, to counter your narrative, I knew about this character before I ever read this story. And the reason I did was because, and forgive me, whoever did ask for this, but during one of my many, like, hey, I'll draw a sketch for you, runs, I do recall someone requesting me drawing this character, and I had never heard of them. And so I have drawn this character before I ever read this story. So there's at least one Cryptid fan out there.
Listen, I'm really glad that Tom Mandrake supported your artistry. Hey, so this is a story that I had to assume already existed, but we were trying to figure out where it existed before this, and it wasn't what I thought, and I can't think of a good time it was, except for like I feel like every X-Men Halloween story is kind of this story, right?
Well, before we get it, we could give a quick distillation of what this story is about. Cryptid is a sort of almost cat-like character, kind of.
He's Green the Beast. He's palette swap beast with funky hair.
Yeah, with thickly coiled hair and very delightful, fun character named Andy. I like him a lot. And, he loves Halloween because nobody realizes that he's not wearing a costume. He's a non-passing mutant. And so as Cyclops and some of the gang are taking the kids at the X Mansion out to trick or treat, who knew there were so many small children and young kids at the X Mansion during this time period?
Well, the people who aimed those rockets at the bus, mostly.
Yes, unfortunately. Andy's just having a great time, and he befriends, a kid and a little girl. And wouldn't you know it, little girl gets abducted by creeps. Andy stops them. And then unfortunately people are like, oh, that's not a costume. You're a freak of nature. And it's not a happy ending necessarily.
Hey, what's the weird thing about this comic where there's human trafficking in the middle of it? That's buck wild.
The moral being that obviously this character is a hero, but he has to be a hero for a specific reason. And in this one, the fact that these guys in a white van just pull up and are like, man, it's so easy to abduct kids on Halloween. It's pretty creepy.
Yeah, this is so weird to me. Like, they launch X-Men Unlimited Volume 2.
Yes.
With J.T. Kroll and Tom Mandrake on one story, Tony Lee and Ben Lai on the other. Hey, Adam.
Hi.
Do you know those creators?
I don't. It is a wild swing to start your book with a Halloween short and then the other short in this, which starts the comic, which means it's the first thing you're reading. If you are reading X-Men Unlimited Volume 2, Number 1, is
this comic with a cover, I want to be clear, that has Cyclops and Emma and Wolverine wearing their Morrison clothes, and Bobby and Kurt wearing their Morrison adjacent clothes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's promising X content, and yet the first story is Sage robbing a Hellfire Club associate safe for a picture of her and Professor X. Like, weird choices here.
A weird choice because most of that comic is about, yeah, man, it's kind of weird that Professor X did leave me to, work as a spy in this sex club as a teenager. Yes. That was a messed up thing he did, right? Like, we can all agree.
Yeah. I mean, it's going very much X-Men, extreme X-Men adjacent. Sage, supercomputer as a brain. That story is a real nothing, though.
All of this is nothing. All of X-Men Unlimited Volume 2 is nothing. At least the end of the original run of X-Men Unlimited promised you nothing.
Here's what I'll say. I do really think that the Cryptid story works. I think it's drawn well. I think it's a nice story about a random character. It just feels more like something you might read as like, and X-Men Unlimited is kind of known for doing stories that feel like backup stories in an annual.
Okay, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
But also, this is every story about anyone who looks slightly out of the ordinary. They can go out on Halloween and everyone thinks they're normal. I have seen this exact story 4 billion times.
I'm not saying
this happens in E.T.
I'm not saying that it is
extraterrestrial.
Okay, I didn't say it was incredibly original. I will say though that in thinking about it before we started recording, we started to think that this exact thing had happened with Nightcrawler, and that is, I don't think, accurate. Because
that is not accurate.
Yeah, the classic X-Men backups that we were thinking of, including the Halloween party and the Dare, are two completely different things. And I think in our minds, we might have been putting those together.
Yes, but it's also just like a tropey pop culture thing.
Sure, absolutely.
Edward Scissorhands, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, for some reason, I'm thinking of Frankenstein, even though having recently read that novel, I know that does not happen in the novel Frankenstein.
Well, that'd be great.
It feels like something like someone has done a Frankenstein story where Frankenstein goes out on Halloween and everyone compliments his costume.
Sure. It is, I'm sure you and I will agree, it is cliche. That doesn't make it bad, I don't think. I still think that it's kind of a heartwarming little Halloween story. I think what makes it super odd is that it is the launch of an X-Men title and the number 1 issue. That's what's weird about it.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Think about how X-Men Unlimited Volume 1 launched.
Yeah, right?
It launched with Chris Bachalo, who was an up and coming, yes, but still like a pretty hot artist at the time.
Yeah.
Doing Marvel stuff. It launched with, hey, here's this brand new crazy character named Sienna Blaze that you've heard about. We've told you Sienna Blaze is coming, and now she's finally here. And here is a story about Storm and Cyclops and the Professor Xavier. Now, I want you to also think about how the X-Men Unlimited Infinity comic launched. It said, hey, here's Wolverine, written by Jonathan Hickman and drawn by Declan Shalvey.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Wolverine. You know him, the X-Men character.
Yep. So I think we can agree that this is an odd bird, even if the Andy story, I think, is kind of fun. And the Sage is really a nothing burger.
I feel like they're both nothing, but I understand. You have a soft spot for things. I have a soft spot for some things, just not this green boy.
Is it the most memorable thing in the world? No. But if you are looking for a fun mutant themed Halloween story, like I was for this episode, I thought it was cute. Is it going to rank high on this list? No.
If you have done a podcast where you have had to somehow try and rank anywhere between 21 and 28 other Halloween themey X-Men stories.
That is true. Oh, and Zach, we have 963 stories on this list. That is insane.
Not all of them are Halloween themed, to be clear.
No, that is true.
So true. That's right. We've been ranking everything from best to worst on our big old list. And that's the bit of the podcast. We are ranking every X-Men story from best to worst. Hey, number one's House of X Powers of 10. It's pretty good. Number 300 on this list is Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut from the Amazing Spider-Man 229 and 230. That has Madam Web. I saw that movie once. X-Men No More Humans, the original graphic novel by Mike Carey and Salvador Alca, is at number 600. That's a weird one that I feel like we talked about too early in the show. Like it was too new at the time. And I feel like if we would go back, like I don't think we appreciate how weird that OGN was.
It's very strange.
Number 900 on our list is Marvel Superheroes Special 6 through 8. People don't know about that comic. That's when Roy Thomas, the liar and the cheat, he did an Outback era X-Men. I'm gonna die mad about Roy Thomas.
This is inflamed because we just saw the original John Romita senior drawings of Wolverine at New York Comic-Con being auctioned off by Heritage, and yet you could clearly tell Roy Thomas had scribbled his name.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Later.
Roy Thomas signs it. Yeah. Roy Thomas signed it?
Yeah. Somebody else's drawing.
And like Roy signed it. And it was later. It was obviously so much later.
Yeah, you could tell.
I'm so mad at Roy Thomas right now. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted because I saw how much that...
What did it sell for?
It sold a decade ago for like $600,000.
Oh, okay. So yeah, on resale. Who knows?
Anyway, Marvel 2099 World of Tomorrow is the worst X-Men story of all time. Adam.
Hi.
Is this better or worse than that one incredibly forgettable X-Men Unlimited Volume 2 Nightcrawler story?
Yes, I think this is better than that. I think the question is it better or worse than X-Men Unlimited Volume 1, number 4, which is at 864?
No, and I can tell you why. Because I forgot after reading yesterday what happens in this comic. I will never forget about Mystique throwing a baby off of a waterfall. And despite everything good that came about that other issue, I will never forgive Cy Spurrier for taking that away from me.
Amazing. I would say this is better than that crummy Legion miniseries at 885.
I guess it is. Like, I guess that Legion series is bad. Is this better or worse than
inoffensive? It's not bad.
Yeah, it's nothing. Okay, here's what's inoffensive and nothing. Spider-Man X Factor Shadow Games.
Ooh, yes. Good comparison. This isn't better than Crimson Dawn at 877. Maybe it is. Crimson Dawn's not good.
Yeah,
Crimson
you're
Dawn's
defending.
bad.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just letting you think through what you're saying.
Yeah, what am I doing?
I feel like X-Women has a higher amount of artistic value to it.
Sure.
So I would put it, that's at 874. Spider-Man X Factor Shadow Games is at 876. And then Domino Volume 1 is at 875 right now.
That was the one where Ben Robb had Domino's ex reading the Inferno for some reason. You remember that?
Yeah, getting it wrong. Actually, no, it's worse. It's better than Domino. Yep, there we go. Thank you.
Okay,
Right below X-Women. That's where you go.
All right, X-Men Unlimited Volume 2.
I'm actually not going to die mad about Ben Robb either. Ben Robb, it's just like he wrote some bad comics. He didn't hurt anybody.
No.
Ben Robb's just boring.
Yeah.
I've been Ben Robb before. It's okay.
All right, so this is our new 875 X-Men Unlimited Volume 2, number 1. Zach, what are we talking about next?
Next, we're talking about Crypt of Shadows, Volume 3, number 1. It's a one-shot from 2022. And Adam, you know who's in this one?
A lot of characters, actually. There's multiple stories and
Victor Strange is who I was talking about. You know about Victor Strange? Doctor Strange's vampire brother?
Yes.
Who lives in a mirror?
He lives in a mirror. And
created by Roy Thomas.
Oh, Roy is back again. So
guess who's back? Back again.
Victor Strange.
Roy is back.
He's in a mirror.
Oh. Victor Strange had been just... You folks don't know this. Victor Strange had been showing up in weird Infinity comics that Al Ewing was writing.
Yep.
That it was like Al Ewing's like, I'm just going to do a like, I don't know, like a Crypt Keeper story or Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Like it was just a one shot, like, I'm going to tell you a tale.
And that's exactly what this is. Victor Strange has some, one-page things that are illustrated by Raymond Box. And then, we get some shorts by Danny Lore, who's telling a story about Blade's daughter.
Oh, speaking of Blade's daughter, Adam,
Yeah.
I finally read Blood Hunt because it was all on Marvel Unlimited, and I wanted to look at Pepe Larraz's art.
I only read the first 2 issues. I gotta finish it at some point. What'd you think?
I mean, it's bad. I don't know what to tell you. It might be one of the most boring, nonsensical cash-in things that I've seen Marvel do in quite some time. And yet Pepe Larraz does draw the absolute living heck out of it.
It is beautiful. So
gorgeous from top to bottom, but with literally zero sense of stakes and very little sense being made the entire time.
Blade's daughter was in that story, though.
Blade's daughter was a major character in that.
Yes. Why is her name escaping me?
Brielle. It's Brielle Brooks.
Thank you. Brielle Brooks. There she is.
They've been trying to make Blade's daughter happen for a while. If folks don't know, like, Blade's daughter was supposed to be a thing, like 5 or 6 years before she came out. Oh my gosh, nearly a decade before. It was supposed to be in Blade Volume 5, a comic that never came out. Wow. It was going to be a Tim Seeley thing, which, like, listen, Tim Seeley writing a horror, like, bloody slasher thing with a teenage girl. That sounds like a Tim Seeley comic, but he chose not to do it at a certain point. Anyway, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, so we've got that one. There is a Werewolf by Night / Moon Knight story by Rebecca Roanhorse and
that
Jeff
one's bad.
Shaw.
That one, were you around? You weren't around at New York Comic Con when I was arguing about how they need to stop doing werewolf stuff with Moon Knight because it's not good.
Oh, who are you having that conversation with? I missed
like
that.
Chris or Rob or Dan or somebody. I was just.
You were going off on a riff.
I was doing the thing that I do, Adam, sometimes when I just talk really strongly about my feelings about Moon Knight. A thing I rarely get to do on this podcast.
Nice.
Fun fact, Moon Knight also a big part of Blood Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't care for the Moon Knight portions of Blood Hunt either. Hunter's Moon, you're my boy. You're great. But all the rest of the stuff, not for me.
We've got a Morbius story by Chris Cooper and Ibrahim Mustafa.
That's not a Morbius story, Adam.
I don't remember that one so much. What was that one?
Adam, that's about Vicky Montesi.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
That's about the characters from the Darkhold Pages of Sin. The Darkhold Redeemers?
Amazing.
The Midnight Suns spinoff from Rise of the Midnight Suns? Do you not remember Rise of the Midnight Suns? Part 4 of 6?
No, actually I don't. But yes. We also have an Elsa Blood.
Fun fact. Just
jumping.
Do you know who wrote that Vicky Montesi story and also Rise of the Midnight Suns?
Well, it says here Chris Cooper.
Yeah, it's Chris Cooper.
Yep.
Who was a Marvel editor and then once got a racism happening to him while he was bird watching.
Oh, I just saw him on TV for some reason. What was he doing? I don't remember.
I don't know. He's cool. He wrote a book. It was fine. I listened to it. It was engaging. Has a lot. It's not a lot about comics. It is the most that anyone has ever written about the Darkhold Redeemers. So he's proud of that. And also does talk about his contributions to the Marvel swimsuit special.
Nice.
And the Alpha Flight comic where North Star yells that he's gay.
See, that seems like valuable reading to me.
Honestly, if you care about those specific parts of the early 90s comics, you should read that and then read a lot more about his spiritual journey of walking around the earth. Anyway, that's not an X-Men story. There's also an Elsa Bloodstone comic by Chris Condon that's kind of nothing in here.
Yep, but it's drawn by Frank Gallan. I like that one. It was silly. It was basically Elsa running into a mutated Spider-Man, and having
the Man Spider.
Yeah, the Man Spider, and getting some help from the Human Torch. I mean, that one was pretty fun. But the one that I really wanted to talk about for this episode that I did felt like a horror story and really did tie into our X-Men theme of our show is The Endless Slaughter in the Infinite Swamp by Adam Warren and colors by Guru FX.
Adam, I know you are of age. Were you a Danger Girl kid?
I read Gen 13, but I never got
you were a Gen 13 guy.
I never got to Danger Girl. I remember when it came out, but I wasn't really on the sorry. Is it Jeff? What does the J stand for? J Scott? J Scott Campbell is Campbell. Jeff? Is it Jeff?
I don't know.
What is the Jeff? What is the J in J Scott Campbell?
If it's not
Google.
Jeff.
It is Jeff. It is Jeffrey Scott. Okay.
Jeffrey Scott Campbell.
I wasn't making that up. Okay. I was not on the J. Scott Campbell train by the time Danger Girl came out. I was like, okay, I read some Gen 13. That was fun. But,
Oh, wait. Did Adam Warren just wrote Danger Girl? Does Adam Warren have anything to do with Danger Girl?
If not, this is going to make for a very awkward transition, Zach. He did do a Danger Girl special.
I'm thinking of Dirty Pair, aren't I?
Oh, I don't know.
I am thinking of the Dirty Pair. Okay, well,
Zach, in your defense, Adam Warren totally did a one-shot of Danger Girl. So it came out in the year 2000. So this is a thing. This is a real thing that exists. So your mind is not completely off here.
Okay, well, regardless, you know about Adam Warren.
Yeah, Adam Warren draws like some kind of sexy stuff.
Also, creator of character who appears in this comic, Galacta, Daughter of Galactus.
Yes. Are you trying to think of Empowered, the definitely not safe for work comic book that Adam Warren does?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
Okay. And Dirty Pair, which you also mentioned.
I think that's what I got. Adam, I got confused.
Dude, it's fine. It's the day after Halloween. You've probably eaten like at least 20 nerd clusters and like are on a sugar high. And you're probably on the down of the sugar high now. So like, don't worry about it so much. But this story is really silly. It's not super long, but it basically involves a scenario where Laura Kinney has to fight Ted Salas, the Man-Thing, in the swamp.
Love a Man-Thing. I love Man-Thing. Is Man-Thing a good character? No. Is he a great design? Yeah, he's a better design than Swamp Thing, and we all need to admit that. I
really, really enjoyed this story. It is so like art driven. Adam Warren is just sort of making these collage-y pages of vines being the panels and things like that. And essentially, there's not a real reason that Laura is there, but they're fighting, and they're fighting for so long that it starts to go for a year, 100 years, 1,000 years, 100,000 years. And because both of them are, immortal, ever, recreating their bodies, like healing, it's just this like endless infinite thing. And I don't know, there's just something really fun and comic booky about this story.
There is something fun and comic booky about it. Man-Thing accidentally gives off the trigger scent for Laura.
Yes.
They get locked into this thing forever. And it's just great pictures of Laura ripping apart Man-Thing. In what I appreciated as a note where Adam Warren in a editor's note says, listen, look,
yes.
No, after about year 5, after like her clothes got burnt off or whatever, she would not go and find more clothes for modesty. I know that, and you know that. But this is a Marvel comic. So like, I'm drawing her in a bikini that's ripped up. Y'all get it? Like, we embrace the fiction with me here.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very clever end note. But what it gets into is, I think, the last page, which is really clever, where he says, this is really turned into a story about, a universal final girl, the last final girl in a horror story being chased by this monster.
Yeah.
Or is this innocent creature walking through the woods one night being destroyed by a psycho killer with knives? What's the real horror story here? And the real horror story is being locked into an eternal fight for time immemorial.
Yeah. And I just love the way that Warren draws this to the point where it's becomes, the two of them become an amalgam, where you can't tell the difference between the two of them as they sort of merge into this one murderous entity. And I don't know, it's just a fun, like, little story that's way better than any of the other stories that are in this particular comic. But I think if you're a Laura Kinney fan and you didn't know this existed, like, Laura Kinney is on the cover of this comic book as drawn by Leinil Yu, but you never know with these anthologies whether your character is actually going to get a spotlight or not. And this is a cool one.
So where do you think this should rank, Adam?
This is hard, because if I was going to rank this story alone, I think it would do quite well. I have to keep in mind the
X-Men story. We can just rank the X-Men part.
We can, but I think we do have to keep in mind that there are these other 5 or 4 and a framing device that are just okay. It makes it harder to recommend the entire comic book. This is definitely better than that X-Men Unlimited comic we were just talking about.
Is it better or worse than Deadpool and the Mercs for Money Volume 2, 7, and 8 IVX?
Where are you at on the list?
That is at 790.
I think it's probably in this area. I think we're probably in the 700s here, right? I don't think it's as good as Beauty and the Beast at 769.
I do think this is better than... no, it's not better than Pride and Wisdom. That's silly. Is it better than Heroes for Hope? No, Heroes for Hope has good art in it.
Yeah, I mean, Heroes for Hope has, I think, much more of a novelty factor given all the people that are involved in the creation of that book.
Okay, I think I found the chunk where I think it should go.
Yeah.
I think it should go above X-Men Blue 10 through 12 Toil and Trouble.
Okay.
But below Iceman Volume 1. That would put it as the new 782. That
is a great place for it, Zach. I think
that feels spiritually right.
Yeah, I think that's good. And again, if you're a Laura Kinney Wolverine fan, you got to check that one out. That's a lot of fun.
But if you're a fan of my favorite Halloween, if you're a fan of my if you're a fan of my third Ghost Rider, Hallows Eve.
I love that you have a running list in your head.
Ghost Rider counts because he's non-fire skeleton ghost man. Like that is about the most Halloween. And Hallows Eve is a great character, and I've been on the Hallows Eve train since day 1.
Weren't you just
I hate her boyfriend.
Weren't you just posting on Instagram about that character?
Yeah, she's the reason for the season. You know about Hollow's Eve, right, Adam?
Yes, yes.
She's the Spider-Man villain that dates Ben Reilly and went to hell during Dark Web. And Madeline Pryor was like, hey, here's a bag of mystic Halloween masks. They'll give you the powers of the Halloween monsters of these masks. So she just puts on like a Dracula mask and becomes a vampire.
Pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Great. I love Hollow's Eve. She's the right amount of stupid. And more things need to have Hollow's Eve. But my third favorite Halloween-themed superhero character.
Yeah.
Of course. You know him. You love him. He's back from the world of 2099. It's Halloween Jack.
Halloween Jack, a.k.a. X-Men 2099 Loki, right?
Yeah, from Fall of the Hammer.
Yes. Because everyone in the future worships Thor and the Norse gods. But yeah, so we have an X-Force issue here. This is X-Force Volume 1, number 92, written by none other than John Francis Moore.
The man, John Francis Moore.
Yes, and while the cover to this issue is drawn by series regular at this point, Jim Chung, this particular issue is penciled by Mike Miller with a bunch of different inkers, including Jimmy Palmiotti, Harry Candelario, Hector Collazo, Jonathan Holdridge, and Derek May, with colors.
I mean, you
by
can't
Murray
win them
Jennings.
all, but
so it's not in the same artistic realm as the Chung stuff from that's around this, but Francis Moore just can't resist. Halloween Jack is coming to the 616, baby.
I love that John Francis Moore was like, well, it is disappointing that 2099 kind of fell apart, but if I can't bring any of the X-Men, I can bring Halloween Jack in, right?
That's right.
I like Halloween Jack. I can do Halloween Jack. And we all said, yeah, actually, you can.
Believe courtesy of his chaos engine? Is that how he is able to
blah 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 sci-fi time travel blah 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 blah. Halloween Jack is here, and here's the problem: in the future, Halloween Jack found out that he had a crush on Domino, so now he's going to try and capture Domino and make her fall in love with him.
Yes, so we are not covering the issue that comes before this, but in the issue before this, Domino was abducted very quickly on a page. And
but more in the issue before this, like Siren is dealing with the fact that she loses her voice because Farrell rips at her.
Yeah, so it's not has anything to do with this story. No. Domino is now in the realm of Halloween Jack and is being told that everything will be explained to her if she just goes to dinner. And, there's a closet full of all of her past costumes, which this is the first moment where I kind of scratched my head a little bit, was that Domino does change out of her street clothes that she was abducted in and get into one of her jumpsuits, which does indicate that Domino took off her clothes in this place, that she doesn't.
Domino's here to do a job.
Yeah, but it's like, would you do that? Like, if you had gotten abducted and you don't know where you are and someone presents you with old outfits, are you like, yeah, let me take off my clothes and put on another outfit? I don't know.
Listen, Domino sees that this is a weird situation. She's putting on her work clothes. Sometimes you just gotta be like, well, these kitten heels just are not going to work for whatever is about to happen here.
Yeah, and man, what does happen here, Zach, is that Halloween Jack is so obsessed with Domino that he wants to protect her from the terrible events that will surely come to pass with her teaming up with X-Force.
I have to tell you, those terrible events do not come to pass. We don't get there. Moore's on the book for 8-9 more issues. We don't get there.
Nope.
This never turns into anything, which is sad because I would have liked to see more Halloween Jack. I do think it's weird that Halloween Jack becomes an incel in this one.
It really is strange.
It's a weird use of Halloween Jack.
Yeah, because the Halloween Jack that we know is sort of this like fun-loving, almost Joker-like character who
he's a little twisted,
took over Las Vegas and, can just kind of plays his games. But here he's very much, this reminds me a lot of the Mephisto goes on a date with Magma issue.
Yeah, it's the same vibe as that.
Right.
And I can tell you, that's been done well in comics one time. And do you know what comic that was in, Adam?
Refresh my memory. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, where Homie tries to go on a date with Squirrel Girl, and he literally says "my-lady" in it because Ryan North is good at comics.
Yes, he absolutely is.
Been on that Ryan North train since I was younger than I am now, which is upsetting.
Since you first encountered a dinosaur comic.
Man, dinosaur comics is still good.
It is. It's great. So as Domino explores this void, she encounters a butler. She encounters the alter ego of Halloween Jack, which is Jordan Boone, who all just turn out to be Halloween Jack. So there is a scenario here where Halloween Jack has gone kind of insane, which he already kind of was.
Yeah, he has time sickness now or something. Who knows?
Sure. But he's very, very locked in on Domino, and Domino's not having it. Even when Halloween Jack like pretends to be Cable, she's like, man, you don't get Cable's vibe at all. Like, that's not what we're about.
I do think that's very funny. He's like, how'd you know I wasn't Cable? And she's like, you clearly misunderstand my relationship with Cable. Yes. Like, we bang, don't get it wrong.
Right.
But like, he's not in charge of me.
No.
He's not my boss. We're equals.
Yes.
And you're making this a weird thing, Halloween Jack. That's not our whole situation.
No, and what's great about this is that the way that Domino is able to escape is that because inside of whatever this void is that he's got her trapped in, this chaos engine exists. And essentially she just starts flicking switches, and eventually he's like, don't touch that button that says don't touch that button. And of course she does.
Domino. Beatrice Thurman, if that is your real name, and I'm not convinced it is, don't touch the button, Domino.
Don't touch the button.
Don't do it.
Oh, she does. She does touch the button. And, then we get back to our regularly scheduled X-Force stuff in the next issue, right?
Yeah. Again, I feel like there has been no one who has been a more consistent defender of the John Francis Moore work on X-Men than I.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've got to say, this is the part where the run does start to kind of trip over its own feet because it gets really into his deep love of the Damocles Foundation, a thing I will never understand.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, unfortunately for Halloween Jack, he only appears one more time in Captain Marvel Volume 4.
Even then, that's just a flashback forward thing to 2099, and it's not really Halloween Jack. It's just him before he was Halloween Jack.
Yeah, it's Jordan Boone.
Good news for all you Halloween Jack heads, though. You know who puts him in comics, or who has put him in comics most recently?
He's been back?
Oh, buddy.
Oh, yes, he has been back. I'm sorry.
Buddy,
Continue.
Of course he's been back. Steve
I
Orlando exists.
Yes.
And Steve Orlando is cursed with the same ailment as I am, and that is thinking a lot about 2099. Adam, did you know that they put all of Ghost Rider 2099 on that app?
Oh, really? Well, they put
it all on the app.
You know why,
because the
right?
omnibus came up, and I thought about buying the omnibus, and I said, no, I don't need to do that. But do I need to now read all of Ghost Rider 2099?
Yes.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy, that first issue and none of the others has Chris Picciallo art.
No, that's true. But, I mean, there is still hope for Halloween Jack, because at the end of this issue, they do sort of escape into actual Las Vegas. Domino just like swats him on the head. So Halloween Jack is still in the 616. Like he can show up if anybody wants to.
Look, here's what I want. I want someone to remember all of the weird characters that they've been like, and now this character's in the 616 and has never come up again. I'm talking about Halloween Jack. I'm talking about that guy, the William Stryker from Age of Apocalypse, Prophet. You know him. Those are the two I want. I and no one else want that comic, which is why I don't write comics.
One day they'll all team up, you know? They'll
team up. Havoc and Wasp's daughter will show up again.
Yep.
We all remember that Havoc and Wasp have a daughter, right?
Yeah. Tempest's daughter will be there too.
That's what Mark Russell should be writing about. Havoc going on like, yeah, I think I have a daughter somewhere. I don't know. I forgot. I'm pretty stupid now.
He totally forgot he was with Maddie, so I wouldn't. Anyway,
no, Adam, that all got resolved in an Infinite comic that Alex Pacnato at least made a little bit of money doing. God bless his soul.
Oh, I guess I should read that.
No, it's not good.
No, okay. So
lot of love to the Pack. You know that those Infinite comics that he's doing are not his best Infinite comics.
Listen, they're doing their thing over there. I'm glad people are getting paid. Where does this go on the list, Zach?
Well, so where's the Halloween Jack story? It's below 424, the Halloween Jack story from X-Men 2099.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think this rises to the level of the X-Men 2099 stories at all, frankly.
It doesn't. And I'm trying to find... does it rise to the level of Time Storm 2009 to 2099 X-Men? I think yes.
Where is that at?
That's at 822. This is better than that.
Yeah. Would you think it's better or worse than the Crypt of the Shadows issue we just talked about?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of okay, right? So
it's kind of okay. If the Crypt of the Shadows issue was just the Laura Kinney and Man thing, the answer would be it's worse.
Yeah.
As a whole, I think it's a little better. I think this is better than War and Pieces, the Incredible Hulk X Factor crossover at 746.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not better than Wildcats X-Men.
Yes, I was going to say not better than Wildcats X-Men, not better than Journey into Mystery, The Birth of Krakoa.
Days of Future Present at 740 at least has that one Art Adams issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of on par with like Spotlight on Starjammers, though, right?
I would put it below Spotlight on Starjammers, which has that great panel of Bald Phoenix.
Yeah.
Above Wolverine and Elektra from that time Wolverine didn't have a nose.
That's great. Okay, so our new 742 is X-Force 92 from Volume 1, and thus concludes our first of 2 spooky episodes.
The episodes aren't spooky. Next time we're just talking about Ghost Rider.
Well, there's spooky stuff in next week's episode.
Like a skeleton? Like a spooky skeleton?
Like multiple spooky skeletons, Zach. I don't know if you read that last story yet, but
no, I haven't caught up yet. I haven't caught up.
There's another one.
Are you talking about a Helverine?
I might be talking about a Helverine.
Are we possibly going to scratch the surface of a Helverine? Helverine, I have not caught up on. I did catch up on Ben Percy's Ghost Rider Final Vengeance, of which I was disappointed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They
all can't be winners.
I generally liked Ben Percy's Ghost Rider, and Final Vengeance just didn't do it for me. Even though he does what I want people to do with Johnny Blaze and let him have a shotgun that shoots hellfire and just be a guy who goes by the name of Blaze, because that's a cool name.
That's great. That's all you need.
Then you let someone else, I guess in this case a Helverine, but I also think a Danny Ketch because I'm a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
I got to catch them all.
Yeah.
Should be the Ghost Rider. But again, no one asks me to do Ghost Rider.
No, not when you have Ben Percy around. I don't think anybody's asking you to write Ghost Rider. So,
I mean, folks, if you would like me to write Ghost Rider, I need you to email hotheads@marvel.com. And when you get that 404, I don't know what to do, man. Just
can you imagine being an editor at Marvel and getting a random email and they're just like, you know who should write Ghost Rider? Zach.
Yeah. My friend Zach, my parasocial pal.
My co-host Zach.
you should let Zach write Ghost Rider. Do you know what he's written? He's written some articles that are really mean about you, Marvel Comics. And yes, that's what he's written. He's also made some really good PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm done, Adam. I'm put a fork in me. I'm done with this episode. But do you know who I'm not done with?
Our listeners?
Our listeners, and especially our Patreon patrons over at patreon.com/battleoftheatom. Those folks are great. They give us money in exchange for jokes and services.
That's right. So folks, please hit up the Patreon. If you want to follow on social media, Arthur Stacey on Twitter, Adam Reck on Instagram and Blue Sky. And as we mentioned, Zach, next week, it's all Ghost Rider.
We're still doing Halloween next week because we feel like it.
That's right.
We are doing Ghost Rider because we have both gotten into Ghost Rider over the last year. So we are turning into old dudes that they target for comics. And you know what? Okay, that's fine. If they just want to make this really cool on fire motorcycle dude, I'm all for it, man.
Down.
I am here. I'm down to clown. But until then, folks, this has been Battle of the Atom. Hope you survived the experience.
Get it!